Okay.
Right. Okay, over to you, Rebecca, then.
Right. Well, firstly, thank you very much for inviting me to come along to meet you all tonight. It was nice to get the message back from Mike saying, would you like to come along? So yes, definitely. So I thought what I've put together is a quick kind of presentation for you, just to give you a little bit of background about who we are and about what we're currently doing down at the National Waterways Museum. I don't know if I just kind of ask, how many of you have visited the museum just out of interest? Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Oh, well, fantastic. Well, I'm hopefully you all liked it there. And we have been experiencing issues, as everybody has. So we're now looking at how to kind of come out the other side, and we're looking at new opportunities. So I thought that's what I just wanted to do this evening, was just to give you a very kind of really quick introduction to the Canal and River Trust, very quick introduction into the museum, and then talk about our new activities that we've got going on, and then to kind of hit you with the ask that we would like to talk to you about. So I'm going to, fingers crossed my technology will work, but I'm going to share a PowerPoint presentation, if that's okay. It will mean I can't see you, but if you've got any questions at all as we go through, just shout out and I'll try and answer them. So, right, let me see. No, that's not right. That's definitely not right. Ah, here we are. Okay, can you all see a presentation?
Yep.
Right, let me just right, is that okay for everybody?
Perfect.
Spot on.
Now, the problem that I've got now is sorry, but I knew that I practiced this before I came on. My notes are on another screen, and now I've got a duplicate screen. Mike, I might need your help as our as you said, you're the technical expert.
I was making it up.
Now I've got two screens, and I was all right.
Share your desktop.
Okay. Shall I stop? I'm sorry about this, everybody. This is.
If you can.
No, don't worry.
On your desktop, you can just share your desktop, and we can see what you can see then. So unless you've got anything rude on there, then just share your desktop.
No, I haven't.
That's a shame.
Do you want something rude?
Yeah. No, you see, the problem is I've got two. I'm sorry about this. Goodness me, it's a good start, isn't it? Now I can't even share anything. What's happening here?
Oh, we've got your screen now.
Yeah, we've got your screen.
Okay,
You've got your slides down the left hand side.
Yeah,
well, my left hand side.
You've got the first one on, haven't you? Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I might have to wing it then. I've got some lovely notes.
Wing it, to hell with it. You're among friends.
Yeah, we're not judging you.
Oh,
Rebecca.
Right, it says my screen sharing is paused, which is a bit of a problem. So if I move on, does that mean you're not going to be able to see it? Share. Right, let's see how we go. Right.
I'm glad I didn't miss the start.
Okay.
Oh, hi, John.
Hi, John.
Okay, so I'm Rebecca. I'm an enterprise manager. So my role is to do partnership development, advocacy, and working with colleagues in our destination attractions and across Cheshire generally in external fundraising. So a bit of an introduction to who we are as the Canal and River Trust. So we are a registered charity. We came about in 2012 when the All British Waterways and the Inland Waterways Association merged. So we're a fairly new charity, but with an old history. We manage over 2,000 miles of waterways, both canals and navigable rivers across the UK. But as well as being a waterways charity, we are also now a wellbeing trust. So that means that essentially it's not just the waterways, but we actually care about and work with the people who engage with those waterways. So it's about health, it's about well-being, it's about skills development. Our mantra is that life's better by water, and that living waterways and living actually as people being on them, using them, being next to them, and how that helps transform the places that we live and enrich our lives. So it isn't just about us, you know, walking along a canal and seeing whether anyone's got their boating license. It's about so much more than that. You've all said that you visited at some point our National Waterways Museum, which is in Ellesmere Port, one of 2 sites. We've got another one down in Gloucester. The site we have got here is amazing. You can see some of the key bullet points there. It's 225-year-old dock area with a whole range of listed buildings and features. So we've got a lighthouse on there, we've got warehouses. The building that you can see in the middle is the old toll house. That's where our office is. We have a historic vessel collection. Many of them are on the National Ships Register. We also have a very diverse small object collection, and also the museum is home to the Waterways Archive. We are part of the Canal and River Trust. A lot of people don't realise that we actually sit within the trust. We get money from the trust for the museum, but the money that we get is for day-to-day running and for staff. So anything else that we want to do, we have to look elsewhere for funding. And we have, obviously, we do make money when we have our visitors, but we've only been open, I think, for the last year, 16 weeks because of COVID. So we've had a massive hit on our budget for that. So what are we actually looking at doing? So we're looking at a new volunteer programme for gardeners or people that are interested in gardening. So you might be wondering why I'm showing you our Porters Row cottages. So our 4 beautiful Porters Row cottages, each cottage depicts and is fitted out in a different time period. And this is probably one of our most loved features that we've got at the museum. At the back of the cottages, you can see we've got this covered yard, and I believe this actually used to be where the old fire engine was stored. But at the back of it, we also have this little cottage garden. Now, one of the things that we wanted to do was that the cottages are great, but the cottage garden used to look like this. So it was part of the visitor route, but it was neglected and completely overgrown. You can see the picture on the right there with the little gate. We have this half height wall, so people could look over it, they could go in. You can see we've got the bench, you know, inviting people to go in and sit and enjoy this mess. So we thought, well, this is a real issue. We're really we're wasting a really nice little space. What we could have here is a really nice, tranquil working garden. So that's kind of where we thought was a good place for us to start. Now, we have done some work. So over the last couple of months, this is now what the garden looks like. The building that you can see at the back it's called the old pigsty. We don't know if it was a pigsty, but it's a nice story. And the little kind of yard in front of that is beautiful original tiles. We've had a member of staff and a volunteer who've worked to clear the site. They've kept some of the original planting that they've been able to rescue, like you can see the rhubarb there. There's an apple tree, but essentially they've taken everything else out. They have built us a new trellis down in the bottom left. And you can also see the bottom right, a beautiful, and I really want them to make one for my house, this lovely compost bin. The building, the garden, you can get a good kind of feel for it, where its location. If you can see at the back behind the wall, you can see a building. That's the back of our island warehouse. So, and the gates that nobody uses. So it is tucked away. So not everybody tends to find the garden. So what we've decided to do is, as I said, to make it into a nice, tranquil, peaceful place full of nice aromas, beautiful planting, but it's also going to be a working garden. So it's going to be a working garden that kind of tells the story of the 120 years to tie in with the dates that the cottages depict. So we will have heritage planting in there. And we're also going to be growing items, growing food and herbs that we can actually use in our cafe. So it's going to be really very much a working garden, but somewhere that people can come and enjoy. You can see that we've started laying a path. We've decided that that path is actually going to be expanded all around the bedding area, and this is actually the plan that we've got for the gardeners. We're hoping it's going to be looking. These Rosamundae, which are heritage roses, they're actually in now. But you can see here that we've got herbs, we've got apple trees, we've got fruit, other kind of berries. So it's going to be very much a really kind of engaging garden. So this is one of the areas that we're really keen on developing. And like I said, we've done a little bit, but we've kind of done all we can do for now. Another thing that we're really keen on with the museum, and again, I think a lot of people don't appreciate this, we've got an awful lot of green space in the museum. We've got a lot of greenery. At the moment, our lawns are cared for by a contractor that comes in, but obviously we have to fit in with their schedule. We have green space outside of the museum. So this next to the blue building is actually just by the coach park, where the welcome sign is. I've actually gardened in this little bit here. We have staff coming along and doing things because it all needs doing. So we've got a lot of green spaces, and that's one of the other areas that we're really keen on getting some volunteers in to be able to maintain these green spaces for us. We'd also like to add a little bit of colour and to welcome wildlife to our site. It is an industrial site, and so we're not going to go mad. We can't take away that industrial feel, and our visitors wouldn't want us to either. But we've looked at a couple of areas where we potentially could do some wildflower funding. So the picture on the left that you can see the bank, that's between the upper and lower basin. Porter's Row cottages, if you were to continue down this walkway following the eye line, the cottages are down at the far end. And then this is on the right, a little bit of ground that we've identified fairly near to our reception area. So a lot of our visitors would see this. So like I said, we would want to plant wildflowers on a couple of discrete areas, but so we can welcome pollinators, so we can really help our local wildlife. It'll also look beautiful when they're in flower, and it's also, they're fairly low maintenance. So it adds a little bit of a difference to what we already offer. I asked for a picture of the new planters that have been built, and unfortunately this is the only one that they came up with, but these have been built by I think this is one of our local colleagues, and we have stop planks that get put into the canal when we need to do works to stop the water. So all stop planks have actually been recycled to create these planters. Now these planters are going to be planted up, and they're going to be placed all around the museum. So we've got a new outdoor seating area where they're going to go. They're also going to go at various different points around the museum. And what we're going to use them for discreetly is a way of encouraging people to follow our new COVID one-way system. So it won't be lots of really kind of corporate blue signage, but you'll be following our route of planters. These again will need maintaining. So what are we asking for? So we're actually looking for about 7 volunteers at the moment. This is really to get it up and running. Once it's up and running, we really can see this, you know, being able to do a lot more with volunteers, with other community groups. So we're looking for at least 2 volunteers who are going to work in our heritage garden. So they're going to learn all about the planting, they're going to learn traditional skills, and they'll be very much able to liaise and talk to our visitors about what we've got planting there, about historic gardens, about how we're using the materials that we're growing there. We're also looking for a range of, we're calling them garden support workers. So they'll be the general maintenance people who will be trained to use our equipment. They will be trained in kind of cutting back vegetation or trimming the lawns and edging, just to make the site look really, really nice and presentable at all times, and means that we don't have to be waiting for a contractor. And also it means that we are going to save a little bit of money as well. And then we are looking for a kind of more of a senior volunteer role, and we've actually already appointed someone, a chap called Barry, and Barry has got an interest and knowledge about horticulture, and so he's already actually been involved, and he's been involved and will continue to be in as how we take this programme forward. So that's a very quick overview of our brand new volunteer gardening volunteer programme. So what are we asking for? So we're basically, we have nothing. We've got a couple of wheelbarrows and some watering cans. So we're actually looking at talking to a number of different bodies to see whether we can get any equipment and materials. So we've got an ask in at the moment with our local Wilko's store, who have a helping hand program, and we've asked them if they would be able to supply us with some things like secateurs and forks and things. What we were wanting to talk to yourselves about was some more of the kind of more specialist, if I can call it that, kind of gardening materials that we need. So you can see that we need garden canes, we need some string, we need fruit netting, it's a weed suppressing membrane, some trunks so we can carry things around the site. Terracotta pots, we don't just want plastic, we want to have things that, you know, that look historic. Our wild seed meadow seeds, you can buy packets of seeds, but we want to go to an organisation, and Landlife is an organisation that they deal with the Royal Horticultural Society, and they really kind of think about the different plants and seeds that they have in their packs. And then the final ask, which is the big one, is we don't have a grass trimmer. And this is one that our Elliot, who's our kind of head gardener for Anderton Boat Lift, has identified for us. So these items, as you can see, total £273.75. It's quite an exact number. I could have rounded it up, but I wanted to be precise. So really, that was just a kind of an overview of what we're doing and what our kind of ask could be. This is my contact details. Oh no, sorry, I've come out of it. My contact details, but I know that, Mike, you've already got my contact details anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen and come back to you if that's okay. She said, you are screen share, stop share. There, right, I'm back. So I hope that apologies, I missed probably a few things that I had because I've kind of had to do that from memory rather than having my notes. As I said, you know, we are kind of coming cap in hand because we don't have spare cash for us to put our hands in our pockets to be able to deliver some of these activities, and we try and do things as cheaply as we can, but as professionally and as well as we can. So that's our kind of ask. But essentially, if there was any support that you would be able to give us, then we would be incredibly grateful. So first thing, thank you for listening. And second thing, has anybody got any questions?
Right,
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah, I've got two questions really. One is, I'm picking up the idea that this is something outside your normal remit, if you like.
Yeah.
Which would explain why there's no funding for it, no budget for it.
Yeah.
Sort of, is that the case?
It is, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, because I was surprised when you said before that, to summarize what I heard was that, okay, you're not just looking after the physical canal, you're now looking after the people that use the canal.
Yeah.
To crudely summarize it. So that's that. And then the other thing was something I've been trying and failing dismally with Rotary, is that when we do get involved in something, that there's a sort of a loop, which is that someone approaches us like you have tonight. They present a case, we get involved in supporting them, and then it stops. And I find that quite frustrating. Find that quite frustrating. Even from a selfish Rotary point of view, I think it frustrates me. So I suppose what I would be saying to you is that, I mean, the treasurer and the president are the people that make these decisions, not me. But if we was to support you in some way, would it be possible or even desirable for us to have something on the site that encouraged recruitment to Rotary?
Yeah.
I'm not saying, oh, be grateful, Rotary gave you money for this. I don't mean that. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm guessing at some sort of, we could put there to say, you know, if you want to get involved in these good things, you can always call Rotary and come and help us as well. Do you think that's feasible?
Yeah, I think, I mean, going back to the first point about the people, volunteering is a big thing for us, and it's something that we've really we found really difficult, and our volunteers have found really difficult since the lockdowns, that they've not been able to come out, but we're always on the lookout for new opportunities. So we'll get something good because we'll have really nicely maintained grounds and a new heritage garden, but we will have volunteers who will be fitter, healthier, they'll learn new skills, they'll make new friends. So that's something that we're really, really keen on, is developing opportunities for people to get engaged. So that's kind of one thing. Absolutely, coming back to your second point, one of the things that I'm really keen on and is developing relationships with groups. So I'd feel really uncomfortable coming to somebody and saying, please can we have some money? And then they say, yes, that way, hopefully, here's some money. And then we never, our paths never cross. And I really wouldn't want that to happen. The way that I see it, absolutely, we can certainly have something that we can, we've already said that if we were successful in getting some funding, we would be putting a little plaque, probably in our outdoor garden area, our outdoor cafe area, that says, kindly supported by. There's absolutely no reason that we couldn't put something about, for to find out more, or if you want to continue supporting Rotary Club, then get in touch with XY. Completely no issues about that. If you are on social media, I don't know if that's a route that you go down, but we can support on things. If you're doing events, we can help promote those as well. If you wanted to kind of run events at the museum site, then again we could come and you could come and talk to us, and we could have discussions. If you did activity and you wanted to, I don't know, if you all wanted to come down and spend an afternoon helping us out, then there's definitely ways that we could continue working together. I don't want to see this as just a one-time engagement, really.
Thank you. And I'm not suggesting we want a recognition plaque. I'm not suggesting that at all. It's a link that I'm looking for, not a recognition, because I don't like that idea of, oh, this was donated by such and such. That isn't what attracts me. It might attract others, but it doesn't attract me. It's the linkage that I'm really keen on. We've lost you, mate. Is it just me, or have we lost Rebecca?
No, we've lost her.
Frozen.
Yes, she's frozen.
Unless you've got a very itchy head. We've lost you, Rebecca. You're back. You're back. You're back.
Oh, you're back. You're back.
Sorry.
We lost the last 30 seconds.
So, my internet's unstable. Sometimes my booster's on the landing, and sometimes when I open the door, it improves it.
You're going to bang the door then?
I'm sure it's not that technical, but I tell myself it is.
That's where I've been going wrong all these years.
Yeah, absolutely. Call yourself a technical guy, Mike, please.
Yeah, so I was saying, if you said, yes, we would like, we'd like you to have acknowledgement, we'd like you to acknowledge where the money came from, absolutely. But but if it was about, well, we don't want that, but if we can help support you, linking our visitors up to the work that you do, it might even be, I don't know if you have any literature that we can put, or we can't put literature out at the moment, but when things are back to normal, yes, we can absolutely sit down and talk to you about things that we'd be able to do like that.
Thank you.
How many volunteers do you, that was very good, Rebecca. I think it's a super idea. I really do.
Thank you.
How many volunteers do you have?
In the museum, or in total?
Well, yeah, in total at the museum, and you say you want 7 now, don't you? For
yes, we want
setting up the heritage garden.
We've got. I don't know the exact number for the museum, but we have our volunteers who work all over the site. So we have people who help us with admin. A lot of our volunteers help with the collections in terms of the boat. So if you go down to site, there's very often someone, I don't know, pumping a boat out, or I was going to say tinkering, mending an engine. We've got our wall, so a lot of our volunteers are really keen on the steam engine side of it. We have volunteers who want to come along, and if we're doing guided tours, who will lead the guided tours. So we've got volunteers who basically get involved in anything. And what I really like about well, the trust as a whole, because we tend to do it in wherever we have volunteers, that we listen to the volunteers, and if a volunteer comes to us and says, I've got an idea, we'll listen to them and actually take on board. And if we can and sometimes our volunteers can actually come to us and say we'd like to try something. Brilliant. Then we'll support you, and you go ahead and do it. And so I really like that we give our volunteers, it's not just a case potentially of coming down one morning a week. A lot of and some volunteers want that, but if volunteers come and say I want more, we'll certainly look at how we can support them. And it could be that we have a volunteer who might come down, for example, on the gardening project, and then realizes that we've got a boat called George. And a couple of years ago, George was restored, but George doesn't have a motor, so George has to be towed. So on a past project, we actually trained some of our volunteers to be helmsmen. So it might be that we have a gardening volunteer who comes along and they say, actually, I'd be really interested in, well, great, let's give you an opportunity to do that. So yeah, there's a lot of kind of opportunities definitely for volunteering. Sorry, I went off on a complete tangent then.
No, you answered my question. The other one I've got was the planters that you showed a photograph of there. How many planters have you got then?
Again, I'm not sure, to be honest. I know that all I know is that they've all been handmade, but they haven't been planted yet. So we have got some money to buy some soil and some plants, but we haven't kind of got anything else than that.
Right. Yeah. So that would be part of the volunteers' job to get them sorted, and you're going to get them and put in place, won't you?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. So have you got a time span for this then? Are you looking to try and get the heritage garden done by the time you won't open until the 17th of May, will you?
We're opening in May, June time. I think it will be a work in progress, because of course there's going to be driven by when we can actually plant. And we're also going to be driven now, it wouldn't be the time for us to come and start clearing vegetation, for example, because it's nesting season. So we'd be driven by things like that. But I think if we're looking to recruit volunteers now, and there will be things that they can do. And I think the heritage garden is going to be very much a work in progress. So this time, in 2 months' time, it probably wouldn't look much different. But this time next year, hopefully, we'll have all sorts planted and blooming and looking really vibrant. So it's, I suppose, kind of getting, the first thing we need is our volunteers, and alongside that is the equipment that we're going to need so we can do the planting and start doing the maintenance.
Well, the two go hand in glove, don't they, really, at the end of the day?
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah. Any other questions, ladies?
Have we talked about how, to some extent, we wanted to do something that would honour George?
No, we haven't mentioned it yet. No, but Rebecca just mentioned that old boat that was named George anyway, which maybe our longest serving Rotarian sadly has just passed away last month, and George Martin, an absolutely wonderful man. And now, ironically, he was born in Ellesmere Port, and every Wednesday was part of the historic society that met at the boat museum.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So when you were coming, when Mike had invited you along, we thought, oh, this is interesting. So. We were gonna mention about that. Was there an opportunity to try and get something as a memorial for George, weren't we? That's what we were thinking about.
Yeah, what kind of thing? Did you have any thought what that might be?
No.
Oh, not really. No. I mean, it was just some recognition of him and the amount of time he spent down there, and it wasn't necessarily. I know Mike was talking about plaque earlier on. That wasn't necessarily what we were. It certainly wasn't what I was thinking. I was just thinking whether whether a garden goes. See, I thought it was going to be planters that you were you were asking, because you've got all those already done, haven't you? I thought you.
Yeah, well,
I thought you'd be pitching for.
We were going to ask for materials for planters, but then somebody came up and said we've got these stop planks that in the kind of the modern day of wanting to kind of upcycle things, someone's snapped at the chance to use them. So let me just make, so Georgie was the longest standing member.
I was wondering what about planting some trees?
Yeah.
Because that's something which is a particularly relevant aspect at the moment, wanting to increase the number of trees about, and thinking about the areas you're looking to improve, as well as the wildflower patch. A few trees there would be quite.
So it's funny you should mention that, actually, John. So we're actually looking and waiting for it to be launched. So every year the the Woodland Trust actually have free trees and hedgerows. So you can apply to them for trees, hedgerows, other kind of plants that you can plant on community sites, or plant them with communities. And that's something that I'm waiting for that programme to open at the moment.
Well, that would be a very cheap gesture for us to provide you with those free trees.
We'll buy some. Please.
Well, he might have appreciated it, I don't know. But I suppose that saying that, we are looking for opportunities to do tree planting. It might be that you were interested in planting. We've just talked about planting 5 rose bushes, for example, in the heritage garden. Might it be a nice bush or a shrub that you might be interested in, or having the wildflower garden in his memory, or
yep,
something like that
could be good. That'd work. That'd work for us, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go and speak to colleagues tomorrow and see what ideas they've got. I think it would be nice to be able to do something. I'm just making myself some notes and making sure I can read them when I come back to work tomorrow morning.
And then to do that properly, we could perhaps provide some money to some of the materials to get that right in a particular area of the heritage garden.
Yeah.
And also I was thinking, when I saw the picture of crocuses, we as Rotary could actually do something with crocus bulbs, couldn't we?
Oh yes, well, we can supply the crocus bulbs, can't we?
Yeah.
Going forward, because I mean the thing with the crocus is Rotary for many years now has been trying to eradicate polio in the third world, and we're almost there. That's So when they immunise the kids against polio, so they don't get done twice. They dip their pinky in purple dye, because there's thousands of them. See, so we plant crocuses every year, and we do it with school kids all over the world, and the purple crocus is the significance of eradicating polio. And that's so yes, we can definitely, that's a good one, John. We can definitely look at that.
And that could be a good project with a local school.
Yes,
where the children
we're involved with the schools.
Plant the crocuses, and see a bit of the gardens and the museum in a sort of a semi-kids day out or afternoon out or whatever.
Well, as you'll remember, I mean, there's a lesson plan that goes with that. So the teachers that get involved, it's all online for them, isn't it? And so, and the end game is that the kids go out and plant the crocuses, as John just said. We did them all over Ellesmere Port, in the centre of Ellesmere Port, I remember.
A few years.
Yes, good.
A few years ago, we went into a school in the autumn, in September, October, when you're supposed to plant these, and planted them in little pots.
Yeah,
we did.
When they came up in the spring, just before they started flowering, we took them to a council site in the centre of town with the mayor, and we planted them.
Yes, we did.
Took them out of the pots there and put them in the various planters there. I can see that work very easily.
Yeah, and that could be the ongoing bit of attachment to helping.
Yeah.
Yes.
definitely.
Yeah. And I think telling that story about polio, you know, again, is something that we can, you know, certainly look at telling. We've got an education team at the museum. Well, I say team. I've got an education colleague at the museum. So again, these are all things that we could definitely kind of talk about a little bit more, because it ties that for me ties very much in with the well-being angle about who we are now, and that we're fortunate we don't have to worry about that. But you know, there are other people that do, and we can help tell that story.
And we're all going through immunisation now, aren't we, really? So it's
Absolutely, yeah.
But if you had a sort of a little coppice area of newly planted trees, it would be lovely to plant crocus around them. So for in the spring, you see the crocuses coming up.
Yes, definitely got some mileage out.
Yeah, I'm actually going down to site in a couple of weeks with my colleague Georgie, who's been leading on the gardening programme. And we're going to look at potential sites. So like I said, we're identifying sites for the wildflowers. So we think we've identified one, but tree planting is something that we have looked at and thought, well, where could we plant some trees? So again, that we can certainly look at that with the kind of the trees and crocuses in mind, because it's got to be somewhere where people can see it, but where they're not going to get trampled. So we'd have to think about locations. But yeah, there's I think there's really, you know, there's some really nice things that we could do together there around that.
And the thing is, if it was like a coppice with a crocus, it could be the Rotary coppice or the Rotary, whatever part of that you wanted, because you've got that big bank that you were showing, which it looks a bit austere, but if you had something with height from the garden perspective in there, it would look much better.
Yeah, I think that we'd have to think about the I think our heritage colleagues would be a little bit unhappy about that, because we'd like to do more on that bank, but so we can't really plant anything because it's got to have that open view down onto the lower basin, because that's the kind of the historic vista, I suppose.
Well, you could find somewhere in the heritage garden then for it.
Yeah, I think there's lots of opportunities. Like I said, we've got lots of little pockets where we could do things that at the moment are kind of unused spaces, and it's nice to have those, because people can feel, you know, there's not a lot of open space in the area, and it's nice to just kind of feel that. But also, if there's something that we can do to dedicate a space, then I'm sure we'll be able to find something. You know,
we could then look at what funding might be needed to facilitate it.
Yeah, Sheila, sorry.
It's just that listening to all this, I don't know, Rebecca, whether you've met Jo Pemberton at all. Jo Pemberton is in charge of Ellesmere Port in Bloom.
Right, okay.
She talked to us about if we were planting flowers or similar, and if we did it in conjunction with Ellesmere Port in Bloom, they can actually give you a donation towards it.
Oh, right, okay.
They were looking at different areas, because we talked to her about the area. I don't know if you know Hope Farm Shops in Great Sutton. There's an area there which is a horrible area, really. And that's the sort of thing that they're looking for.
I lived there.
Pardon?
I know.
He lives there.
One of the solutions was to move you out.
Isn't that the one we went for?
So,
No, Sheila is moving.
Oh yes, we've got it wrong, haven't we?
so, but that could be helpful to you and helpful to Jo as well. So
Yeah,
hoping to do it this year, but I don't know whether it will get off. But I could either, maybe Mike could send you Jo's details, or he can send me your details, and I can get the two of you in together.
She also does a very good line in beehives, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. She does beehives as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be really interested in us looking, and again, it's the kind of looking at where we could do it, but having things like bug hotels and solitary bee, and not beehives, because we have a lot of school groups and that might not work.
Yeah,
but
no, you couldn't do that.
bee,
Beetles is the big one, isn't it?
So yeah, things like that as well. I think, you know, there's so many ideas of things that we could do. I don't think we're ever going to run out of ideas. So
I was also
no, that would
thinking
be-
Francis Ball with Bridge Farm. They have people looking at gardening and vegetables. I don't know whether he could help.
Oh,
Who was-
right. Yeah, that's a
sorry,
good.
John.
Sorry?
Who did you say, John, that was?
Francis Ball, who Bridge Community Farm in Ellesmere Port.
Okay,
Yeah. So
great.
there's a bit of homework to be done before we know exactly what we need to put our hand to, isn't there?
Well, what I'll do in the first instance, I might need to just make it a little bit smaller, because I knew I wasn't going to be sending it off straight away, but I'll decrease the size of the images tomorrow. If I can send my presentation over to you, Mike, if that's okay, and
Fine.
that's got that initial kind of ask, but then you know, I'm thinking that there's probably, if I spend some time on site with my colleagues, might it be worth us, you know, us inviting you, you know, all of you or some of you down to site one day to come and have
Yeah.
a look.
Yeah,
Good
definitely.
idea.
You know, we can have a walk round.
Yeah.
We can show you what we're doing. We can show you the different sites that we think that we
Yeah.
can develop. You know, we can give you a cup of tea and, you know, we'll look after you that way. So that might be something that we, you know, you fancy doing. When I've been down to site, identified some things, we could maybe do that.
Definitely.
So
Yeah,
the
I'm up for that.
immediate need is something just under £300, isn't it?
Yes, that's that we can discuss that though, can't we? And
Yeah.
see what,
Yeah.
and then we can get deeper into it when Rebecca invites us down.
That'd be a nice, a good
Sorry,
payout.
Sheila.
Well, we are moving, Rebecca. That wasn't a joke. We are moving. And if we don't have a garden to move to, but we do have a garden here. And if there were any garden implements left that we didn't want to take, would you take them?
Yes, please. That would be wonderful.
Um,
That would be lovely, Sheila. Thank you.
Quite a few of our family, they already have, if you like, their garden implements. And one of our nightmares is what we're going to do with the garden things. But if I can say to John, my John, that okay, whatever's left, Rebecca will have, that would be brilliant.
That would be great. And if we can do that, and if you need me to come and pick them up from anywhere, more than happy to do that. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Like I said, if I share the presentation tomorrow with Mike, that's got my email address and my phone number on it. So you can just get in touch with me. That would be great.
Would you like any screws?
Any what, sorry?
Screws.
You got those screws.
Screws.
Screws. Why not? We've got all sorts. They need them for things like planters, don't they? So what we don't want is the husband, if that's okay. I think
Loads of wood.
yeah, anything like that. Yep.
Okay.
Lovely, thank you. Fritz, did I just see you stick your hand in
Fritz.
there?
Where are you based?
I'm in southwest Manchester. So it's 40 minutes, 45 minutes on a good day up to the museum. So I try and get once in normal situation. I'm normally there a good couple of times a week. So, and it's, if someone says to me, can we meet up there? I'm there like a shot because I love it. So.
Yeah, it's a nice place.
So has anyone got any other questions for me?
No, that was very interesting.
Very, very interesting. Really sparked some great ideas.
Great.
You've got some great ideas yourselves, but you can see how it was starting to flow then.
Definitely. I'm really excited
Real
about
good
it.
sharing.
I think this, I'm really, really glad that we've had this conversation, because I think that there's definitely an ongoing relationship that we can build here between the two of us. And I think that's really healthy. So, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. So thank you so much for your time for this evening, for listening to me, and for some great discussions. I'm really excited. So I'll get on to minimizing the presentation for you tomorrow, Mike. And then I'll get that over to you. And then, yeah, any other questions that you've got, just give me a line, and I'll just look forward to hearing from you.
I'll get back to you, whatever happens, mate.
Great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
fantastic. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you very much.
Rebecca.
Thank you. Well done. Well done. Well done.
Soon. Thank
Excellent.
you.
Take care now.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Aye.
Bye.
Wow.
Well,
That was
I didn't-
interesting, wasn't
I've learned something tonight about the door. I must admit, I didn't know that.
it? See, that's it. You know, have you left that door open? Or have you shut
Oh,
it?
it's open now. That's why I'm so clear.
It is. It's taken years off you. It really has.
Watch me
It is.
close. Watch me close the door. Watch me close the door.
Oh yeah. Got it back on you.
Sorry I was
So-
late. I was preoccupied doing a spreadsheet and I suddenly looked and thought, oh my goodness, it's 7:40.
No worries. I mean, what were our thoughts there? I mean, £273 wasn't a great lot of money. I thought they were coming big bucks.
Well, we thought it was going to be something like that from what Mike had said before. And I was thinking at the time that we perhaps ought to round it off to £300.
Yeah.
Would agree.
I'd agree.
I'd agree.
I think it's got the potential for us to actually develop something with this, almost
Yes.
seemingly, really.
Yeah.
And then when you mentioned about George, I thought, you know what, that sort of comes together, doesn't it? You know. But I think we would need to be actively involved because otherwise it isn't going to happen. You know.
No.
One thing's giving the money, but we then need, you know, someone to be on the hook for making it to really develop our engagement with them, because otherwise it isn't going to happen, you know. So I'd be more than happy to get involved with that. More than happy.
Yeah. No. Same here. Same here. Absolutely.
I think we still want some tangible things in memory of George, do we not?
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
And in some ways, that might be what drives us along, if you like, because it's all very well talking about, you know, cloudy things, but if we set an objective that we're going to have something physical that we can say that links into George, then we'll know if we've succeeded, won't we? And we can't just forget it, you know, and let it, oh, we giving them the money, you can walk away now. So yeah, I'd be more than happy to get involved in that. Steve, you are as well. So that,
Yeah. And it's twofold as well, isn't it? So, you know, we can give them the money, which they can start on straight away, and we can say, right, well, we'll get involved as well on the,
I like the idea of maybe the rose garden or something like that being signified as being in memory of George Martin.
Yes.
Because I know that when one of the trustees, so the family died, in her honour, we planted a plant in the sensory garden and had a plaque. I know that you have to have something to say that's memory of George, whatever, somewhere on it, but it would be there for quite many years ahead, wouldn't it? Not just, particularly if you've got some really nice old-fashioned roses growing with lovely scents and so on. But I mean, it's just a shame we can't do a lot whilst we've still got the restrictions going on.
Well, I mean, that's going to get better, isn't it? As the weeks go on, so some of us can get down there. We can all. And the other thing, with the George bit as well, we can get Marjorie down once we've got it set up, can't we? Because I think that's it.
Well, we could do that and have an afternoon tea or something there.
Absolutely, what a cracking idea!
Yeah,
what a cracking idea! Really, really good. Yeah, I like that. So, what are we agreed then? £300?
Yeah.
Yep.
And if Mike, you can discern who it should be made payable to, etc., let me know, and then we can get that on its way.
Yeah, and then she needs to tell us when she's going down, so she can invite us down, and then we'll start to get involved. Then we'll wait for her to come and say, okay, come down, and then we can those of us that want to get involved in it, then we can get down there, can't we?
Yeah,
keep ourselves social distance and all that stuff.
One of the big things that we can do as a Rotary in this sector, and Bill Leslie used, is don't talk to one another. And it's getting people to collaborate with one another more is, you know, like Joe Pemberton and what's there and what's going. There's a lot of things going on in parallel, but people not necessarily knowing of what collectively they could do more.
I mean, I noted Bill's name down there and I thought, oh, when she was saying for volunteers,
Oh yeah,
because he's, you know, I'll run that by it. I mean, he's doing some great work down with Rita.
yeah. I'm so delighted to hear that, because
Yeah, and
it always goes like,
again,
well,
he's a good foot soldier. He'll want something like that. He was
Oh.
chomping at the bit when I saw him on Monday.
well, he works hard. I mean, when he puts his mind to it, he gets a lot of
Yeah.
production out, if I can put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good navvy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right, that's good. That's very, very good. Excellent. In fact.
Well, my husband will be absolutely delighted.
Oh yeah. You've given him away, and all the screws and the spades and everything. It's outrageous, Sheila, really. Very good. Very good. David, we've got Angela Williams has sent something through. Wants some AGM, or is it mini AGM? May
Club assembly. She wants to.
That's it.
She
Club
wants
assembly,
to
sorry.
know when we're going to do our club assembly, and therefore she wants to join the presentation.
Right. So we just need to come up with a date.
Well, we usually have it round about the first, second Wednesday in June, traditionally.
Right. Let's stick with that then. Yeah.
It's entirely up to you. But the problem with this is last year we paid lip service